Let's get started with our Photopea Practice assignment. And here on the assignment, we have the settings for the size. Yours might vary a little bit, but we're going to go to New Project on photopea.com and we're going to type in those settings. So it was 1200, 3500, and then DPI of 150. DPI stands for dots per inch, and that refers to the resolution of the image. We're going to click Create. All right, we're going to get kind of this long, skinny canvas. And the next step we need to do, it says fill the background layer with a color or a gradient. I'm going to just collapse those down here. So filling the background layer, we use Paint Bucket for that, or if we use the gradient tool, we can do gradient. So I'm going to start by right-clicking on the gradient tool, which is right here. Go to the Paint Bucket. And the color that is selected in the first box there, that's the color that the background will be once we actually click. So I'll show you how that works. If I just click, it's going to fill the background with red. Now if I change the color here, let's just change it to blue. I click, it changes it to blue. It's a really quick way to do a solid color fill. Now if you would like a gradient, you'll need to right-click on the Paint Bucket again and go to the gradient tool. Once you click on that, then you'll notice whatever colors you have selected here, the default will be those colors. So if I click and drag using the gradient tool, you do have to click and drag, that will give me different gradient effects. So by clicking from the bottom up, it does blue to red. And if I go top to bottom, it will do blue to red that way. The longer the line, the softer the transition or the more blended it's going to look like. So if I just do a tiny line, you'll see how it kind of has this like line, implied line there. It's not as blended. That's just because I didn't do a longer line. Now I can do this at an angle. I could go this way. And there are even different types of gradients you can do. Things like radial gradient. That's kind of like a circle, or an angle gradient. It's got kind of that line in there. A reflected gradient. Think of like a cylinder. So it's a nice way to kind of create a 3D effect if you're looking for that. And then the last one, which is diamond. I generally will be using linear gradients here. Now, let's say you want to change the colors. You can easily do that simply by changing the colors down here. So let's say I want to change this color to kind of a pinkish color, and then the red, maybe I just want that to be white. I'll click OK. I'll go ahead and click and drag again, and now my gradient will be pink and white. I'm going to go back to linear. There we go. Something like that. Okay. Now, if you ever make a mistake, you want to go back, you can just do Control-Z on the keyboard, and you can keep doing that as much as you want to go back to where you need to go. I believe it's up to 30 times, I think, in your history. I'm just going to go ahead and put that back in there. The pink. There we go. All right. So I have a background now. Now I'm going to copy and paste an image from Google Images. So I'm going to create a new tab. I'm going to look up an image. Let's see. I'm going to do maybe just like a flower. I'm going to go to Images. All right, scroll through, see if you can find a flower image that will work. I'll just grab this one. I'm going to right-click on that image and say Copy Image. So right-click with your mouse, Copy Image, go to Photopea, and we're going to do Edit Paste or Control-V. So with Edit Paste, oops, there we go. There it is. You'll see over here on the layers panel, it says layer 1. So it's on its own layer now, which means I can move this around without affecting my background. All right. If for some reason it's not pasting, double check that you actually selected copy image. Sometimes students accidentally choose the wrong one, or they do copy image address by accident. So copy image, and then sometimes it won't let you copy an image if it's the incorrect file format. So if it's like a WebP file, sometimes that doesn't copy over right. So you might just have to find a different image then if it's not working for you. Okay, so I have my image. Next instruction is to use the brush tool to draw something somewhere. So I'm going to go into Photopea. I'm going to grab my brush tool that's right here, and I'm going to choose a different color because I don't want the same color as my background. So let's choose like black. We'll just start there. Now, if I just start drawing, you'll kind of see how that works. It's just lagging a little bit. That is fine. I could leave it like that, or I could also change the size. So right up here is where you can change your brush size. Okay. You can also change the hardness. So this is a hard brush. And then if I drop the hardness down, you'll see what a soft brush looks like. So you see how it's got kind of a fuzzy edge. I'll zoom in so you can see it a little better. So the hard brush has a pretty linear edge. The soft brush or 0% hardness brush has kind of a fuzzy edge. I'm going to do Control Z on that. You could also use the brush tool. You can do your scribbles, or you can also write something. Maybe I'll write like the word love. It's not going to be beautiful. I'm using the mouse for this. You can also use a drawing tablet if you want to play around with that. I'm going to kind of fix the loop. All right. Now, something to keep in mind, since I drew on layer 1, if I use my move tool to click and drag that around, you see how they move together? It's because they were drawn or created on the same layer. In order to avoid that, you can actually make a new layer. This isn't required, but it's something just to know about. So right down here, there's the new layer button. If you click that, it'll make layer 2. I'm going to go ahead and maybe do something else. I'll just do a heart. It's lagging so bad. There we go. This is going to be an abstract heart. That's okay. Okay, so there's my heart. My heart is on layer 2. If I grab the move tool and now I grab the heart, it's independent of everything because there's only the heart on that layer. So layers are a big deal. They're really important when you're trying to create a complex work of art or design, graphic design. And it's really nice because it allows you to edit the layers independent of each other. So if I don't need to worry about the background, I can just focus on, the text or the writing or the image, whatever I'm trying to do. Okay. Next up, it says add text somewhere. Make sure it is readable. Change color of text and typeface as needed. So now I'm going to grab my type tool or text tool. Here it is, the little T. We're going to just use the regular one. You don't need to do vertical. I mean, you can if you really want to. And I'm just going to click on the screen and I'm just going to start typing some random letters here as an example. Now, as you can see, they're very, very tiny. They might be kind of hard to read. So I'm going to highlight those. We'll click on the color selection. I'll do white. And then let's make that bigger. So if I drag that bar up, it makes them bigger. You can also go ahead and just type in a value. Let's do like 250 if you need a much bigger typeface. That made it 250. I can also change the typeface itself, and it'll give you a little preview. It's just kind of lagging a little bit. So if I click on this one, Diggery Doodles is the name of this typeface. I changed it to that typeface. So you can just highlight the letters and choose whatever typeface you are interested in. I'm just going to delete those extra letters there. It'll let me, almost there, cool. And I'm just going to write my name here. Whoops. There we go. I had caps lock on. Okay. So there is my type. It actually has its own type layer now, and you can tell it's a type layer because there is a letter T sitting there. That's my type layer. And then let's go back, see what else we need. Use the eraser tool to erase part of the image. So I'm going to go to the image, which is this one here. So I'll go to layer 1. I'm going to grab my eraser tool and I'm going to erase just part of the image. Now, if I just click and drag, you'll see kind of how that erases. You can see the background through it, which is kind of cool. If you need to make that eraser bigger, you're going to click, highlight that, and then you can drag the size, up and down. There's kind of a preview there for you. If I drag that like so, it erases a lot of the image. A lot of the issues I see happening are where students are on the wrong layer, like you're on this layer, right? And it's not erasing. It's because you're not on the right layer. So you just need to click on layer 1 in order to erase. All right, and then we're going to drop the size down just a little bit, and I'm going to drop the hardness down, and I'll show you with the hardness, we'll go up a little bit, how that works. So if I now made a soft brush outline, there you are. Now you can see it's nice and faded. Now if I make it a lot bigger, I'll show you how this works. So this counts as erasing if you want to try this. It's kind of an artificial way to make something fade together. So I just used a very soft 0% hardness brush, much larger, like 500 pixels, on the eraser tool. So just make sure you're on the eraser tool. Sometimes students get the eraser confused with the brush. Here we go. All right. Next up, we have copy and paste a second image. So we're going to find a second image. I'm just going to grab a different image of flowers. Let me show you quick how to find a transparent image. We're going to go to Tools, Color, Transparent. Whoops. Now this means that it has a transparent background, and that is denoted by the checkerboard background. So if I right click on this and do copy image, go to Photopea, do Control V or edit paste, you can see there's no background on this because it was transparent. Now to resize this, I'm going to do Control Alt T or edit free transform. So both of those will work, and you can always see, so Alt Control T is right there next to free transform. And then I can click and drag and make this bigger or smaller, however I need it to be. I can also go to the corners and rotate as needed. All right, we'll hit enter on that. Next thing says use the dodge, burn, smudge, or blur tools on this image. So notice it says or. You're only going to choose one of those tools. The first one that's visible usually is going to be your blur. Blur tools here. You're going to make your brush size larger, and then you can keep the hardness hard if you want. Now blurring sometimes doesn't seem to do much right away, so we're going to zoom in a little bit so you can see it a little better. And I'm using the magnifying glass just to zoom in. To zoom out, I click the minimize button there and we just go back out. But I'm going to grab my blur. I'm going to make sure I'm on the right layer. If you click on the eye icon next to your layer, it'll show what it looks like. And then I'll just start clicking and dragging, and you'll see the more I do it, the more it's going to blur. You can also adjust the strength, make that 100%, and blur it even more. So you can see that those parts of the image are now blurring. So that's blur. I'm going to do Control Z to go back. All right, if I right click on blur and go to smudge, I'm going to make this brush a little bigger for the smudge. You can see I can kind of smudge it. Think of it as like finger painting or blurring while also stretching and pulling the image. I can also adjust the strength of that too. So maybe I want it to not be as aggressive and I just want a slight smudge. I can lower it to like 18%. It's not going to be as aggressive with the smudge. Okay, do Control Z on that to go back. The other options are dodge and burn. These go back to the old film days when people would use film cameras. Dodge is going to lighten the part of the image, and then burn is going to darken. So dodge is this one here. It looks like a little lollipop. We're going to grab that, and we're going to make this larger so we can see it. So dodge lightens. If I click and drag, you can see how it's starting to lighten it up. You can then also say, I want you to lighten those shadows, so the dark areas. Maybe you want it to lighten the highlights. This is really useful when you're trying to touch up a photo or trying to add in like a shadow or just kind of play around with the contrast in a more minute way. Like you're able to do very fine details that way and just control part of the image. The same goes for burn. So if I right click on this dodge tool and go to burn, it's like a little hand like this. So burn tool, same exact thing, except in this case, it's going to darken the image. I'll go to shadows now. See how dark it gets. Let's go to highlights. So it'll darken my highlights. That is burn. Okay. So we'll just leave it at that, I guess. All right. And then it says, save this work as a PSD file and upload it to this Google Classroom assignment. So the Photopea Practice, I'm going to zoom back out so we can see my beautiful masterpiece. It's probably going to be a little ugly. That's okay. I'm actually going to drag this part down just for the sake of composition. Okay. So this shows that, yes, I know how to do type. I know how to darken part of an image. I know how to use the brush. I know how to do the paint bucket. I know how to do the eraser. Like all of these things that might seem kind of trivial, they all will be used in later assignments. So they're all good to know and understand kind of where to find them and how they work. So I'm going to go to File, Save as PSD. Make sure you choose your downloads or desktop or documents, somewhere where that you'll recognize. And if you want to, you can make a new folder for yourself. So sometimes I like to go into documents and I'll right click in there in an empty space and I'll just say new and then folder. And then I'll call it like graphic design 1. I might already have a folder called that, but that's okay. Oh, I don't. All right. So double click on that. And then you know you have everything saving in that folder. And every time you save something, you'll just find your graphic design folder. So then everything's kind of in one place. The other thing you want to pay attention to is your file name. It's good practice to actually label these. So call it like Photopea Practice or Photopea or something, and then click Save. And then when you go into Google Classroom, then you can upload it. It says it can't open files in this folder because, system files. We'll choose a different file. No big deal. I think it's because I had a duplicate. So Photopea Practice. Whoop. There we go. Choose your folder and then say save. And then you'll go to Google Classroom, you'll upload it there, and then you're done with that assignment.